Good day, everyone. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us this afternoon for the sixth in our series of the 2025 CAWASA webinar series. And if it's Wednesday, it's CAWASA webinar. And today we have a special guest, and he's up at 5 a.m. in Japan. And their team, WOTA, they have started some work in the Caribbean as well. They're a startup company, and they will join us in telling us some of their solutions and alternative solutions for helping to solve water problems, both water and wastewater management globally, and with particular interest in the Caribbean region. So I'd like to invite Samir to introduce himself. He may be able to do that better and introduce his company. And let's listen. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ignatius. Thank you very much for this opportunity. For a small company like us from Japan, it's a great opportunity to be with a lot of water professionals from the Caribbean region, which is indeed the first region where we are trying our technology outside Japan. So I'm Samir Nait-Kaici. I'm in charge of global relation for WOTA. I'm based in Tokyo, but you can hear by my accent that I'm French. And I'm joined today with two members from WOTA in the Caribbean, based in Antigua and Barbuda, actually, Nerissa and Krista Joy. I think they are here. Could you please introduce yourself?
Yes, we're here. So just turning on my video briefly. So my name is Krista Burton. I'm the deputy head for the Caribbean region for business development at WOTA, and I work in project development.
Hi, my name is Nerissa Allen. I am the field engineer for WOTA at the moment, and I'm based in Antigua.
Thank you. So for this first 30 minutes, I think I'll try to use the presentation, and after I'd like to leave some time for Q&A question, and we'll try our best to answer. So can you see the presentation? It's fine?
We're all fine.
Okay.
And I also like to welcome the other members of the team from JAICA who are on with us in St. Lucia.
Excellent. So our company is WOTA. Our mission is to seek structural solution to the world water crisis. This is our goal as a company. We were a young company. We have only 10 years old. We celebrated actually last year our 10th anniversary. And we are a startup. And as a startup, we try to develop solution that would help in a very innovative way to solve the water problem. So to do this, we invest a lot in research and development, in development of product, and in testing the solution at the moment. And to do that, we have the support of many Japanese companies that are either Japanese company in the water sector or Japanese companies in other sectors that can support as well the manufacturing of our company of our product. We have as well the support of two leaders. One is the SoftBank Group, which is a major group in Japan, and another one which is the Japanese state through the Development Bank in Japan. So the way we see the concept of our solution is to consider not the very dense and urban areas, but to try to tackle the problem of water and wastewater in the less populated area. So mainly the semi-rural or island area, which is a situation that we have a lot in Japan. And what we believe is that decentralization and having on-site water treatment can be a way to tackle a lot of problems related to water infrastructure, especially the cost of installing and renewing the network, the drinking water network, and also the wastewater collection pipeline. So we are developing systems that have core technology based on autonomous operation and maintenance. So we use in our system IoT sensors, we use algorithm, and we want to create a data ecosystem where all our products can send a lot of information that allows us to monitor the performance of the system, that allows us to monitor the quality of the water that is treated, that allow us to determine when we need to change some of the part of and to upgrade as well, a bit like a Tesla, for example. A Tesla car would be updated or upgraded from remote. We have two main business line of products. One is for potable water business, and the other one is for residential water business. I will start with the residential water business because I think this is the focus today, but I'd like to take some time in the presentation to share also our experience with our portable water systems. So in terms of residential water, I was saying that we develop small scale water recycling systems. So we do it, they are very small. They are the size of a household actually. They are designed at the moment to supply or to cater the needs for family. And a family in Japan is on average 2 adults and 1, 2, or maybe 3 children. So the capacity of our small scale water recycling system is around 1 cubic meter per day. What we design is a system that has 3 different cycles. One for toilet water. So the water from the toilet, which is the black water, is treated and reused for the flush only. Then we collect in a separated cycle the gray water. The gray water is the one coming from, as you know, the shower, the bathroom, the laundry, but also the kitchen. We treat it to a level that meets the requirement of the Japanese drinking water quality standards, so it can be reused for the exact same usage, including the kitchen, including the shower. And the last system, so it's the last module that is separated as well. It's for drinking water, this one. And we use any source of water available near the house. So it mostly rainwater harvesting, but we can consider other sources like groundwater, sometime water coming from tankers. And we treat it as well to meet the requirement for the Japanese drinking water standards. This is the concept of the residential system. When I will start with Japan, although the situation seems different from the Caribbean, but it has a lot of similarities in some ways. So Japan is a country that has 125 million inhabitants, and out of them, 20 million inhabitants, more or less 16%, live in cities that have less than 100,000 people. So in these cities, the cost of infrastructure is way too high compared to the water tariff. So it's very difficult for the municipalities to maintain and renew the network, especially considering that the population in Japan is shrinking in many places. So I don't know if it's for those who have been in Japan, if you go out of the big cities, it's very rural and very less populated. So the cost of the savings that we evaluated on the whole country can be more than $5 billion per year. Here we installed in our system, so you see 3 different configurations, 3 different houses. This system or actually working now, and those houses are equipped with our system and no longer connected to the water network, no longer connected to the wastewater network. So they work completely off the grid and independently with the system that you see below on the pictures. And you see also the families that are living in those houses. Those houses are located in a region called Ehime. It's a rural part of Japan. We installed as well our system in this container house. This system is in one of the, Japan has many islands and also tropical islands. This island is called Toshima. It's very small. It has 300 inhabitants, and more than 90% of the water comes from desalination. So the cost for the municipality is very high. And we started also piloting the system, and you see the kind of house and room that are using our system. This house is completely off the grid, both for water and also for electricity. So that were the project that we the project that we are doing in Japan. We started to explore overseas. The opportunity that we had is we were selected by the Earthshot Prize, the Royal Foundation in Prince William, and this opportunity gave us the possibility to connect with many countries, including countries that were in the Commonwealth community, and this is how we made the connection with the government of Antigua and Barbuda. So I think everybody knows very well Antigua and Barbuda. So the country has 100,000 inhabitants. It's one of the most water scarce country in the region, and most of the water comes from desalination. I think Krista and Nerissa would confirm later, but it's more than 90%, maybe 95% of the water that comes from desalination. And the government has this major project, which is the housing revolution, to build many homes, 3,000 homes in 5 years, for targeting middle income and low income population. And they have this challenge with the water infrastructure because the water is scarce, the non-revenue water is quite high, and there is the challenge of the water treatment pollution. So they are very interested in exploring innovative solutions to try to tackle those different issues. And this is how we started to work with two housing agencies, the public housing agencies, which are CHAPA and NH2RC. So to do so, we have signed two MOUs, one in 2022 to start the feasibility study, and the second one in 2024 to start the piloting of our solution. And this project is supported by JBIC, which is the Japanese development bank. So this is the conceptual picture of our system. So actually, this is just the concept. The system is much smaller. You will see it now on pictures. And in Antigua and Barbuda, we focus mainly on gray water. We haven't installed yet the system for toilet because it's a pilot, and we go gradually to make sure that our solution fits with the configuration in Antigua and Barbuda. And the way it's installed, so in Antigua and Barbuda, you have in the houses the cisterns that are very large, more than 5,000 gallons, and they are used to supply the water in the toilet and in the bathroom, and they are connected after that to septic tank and soakaway. But in many places, they face the challenge of working properly with the septic tank and soakaway. It's due to the nature of the soil. So what we did is we adjusted to this local configuration. And what we want to do is, by using recycling of gray water, we expect to reduce the size of the cistern and the soakaway so that the owner of the house can make savings on the cost of this equipment, connect bathroom, the kitchen to our system, recycle, and just use the septic way and soak away for the black water coming from the toilet. So this is how we started the three piloting in three different houses. The first one has been in operation since July 2024, the second one in November 2024, and the third one in December 2024. I think Nerissa and Krista will be able to develop much more during the Q&A session for those three different pilots. But we start to have now more than 6 months result in the first house, and also very encouraging result in the two other houses. The first one is where we have our office. We call it the WOTA lab, so it's more demonstration. And when our staff or working in Antigua and Barbuda, they use the house. The two others, you have actually families living there. For the one with 3 adults and 1 children, and another one with 1 adult and 2 children. You can see here the works that have been done to adapt the plumbing in separated way for gray water to our system, which is the gray water recycling system. On the bottom left, you see the installation completed, and the two black tanks or tanks that allow to extend the capacity of our system. I said that it's designed for 1 cubic meter, but it can be extended with optional tank, both for rainwater collection and also for treated water. So here is the table with the result on the volume that is produced. So you see it's in the water lab since July 2024, over 6 months. And we look at the water that is produced every day and the water that is recycled. The result is that we were able with WHK, which is the name of our system for residential water home kit, to recycle nearly 10,000 gallons over the 6 months. So basically to cover the needs of grey water for the house. And the second interesting result is we were able, if you exclude the water from toilet flushing, to recycle 95% of the water that is used in the house. And if you include the black water, we calculated that the total recycle rate is 74%. So it's very encouraging for us that we were able to cover the needs of the people living, staying in this house. We've conducted very recently, so since the beginning of the pilot, we've conducted survey, and also very recently we extended the survey to, I think, to many households. I will ask later, Krista, maybe to confirm the number of houses, but we have a very strong interest. We were worried about the social acceptance of grey water recycling, but actually the interest is very positive according to the test that we've done. So we are confident that the system would be adopted in a larger scale in Antigua and Barbuda. Yes, that was for the residential water. Now I will move to the portable water business. So actually, as a startup, we always had this vision of using small-scale water recycling system for residential as a decentralized infrastructure. But to start, we started to address a very specific need in Japan with 2 systems for small-scale water recycling that are portable. We developed first, during COVID, we developed this system, which is the wash. The capacity is much smaller. It's only 20 liters, but you can recycle the water more than 500 times, sometimes until 1,000 times. And it's a portable water circulation hand wash stand. And we used it during COVID because in many places, you would have this need for hygiene measure, and we wanted to support the the country measure to provide a point to wash hands. And it can also sanitize, sterilize the phone, because we use the lamp, the UV lamp that is used in the treatment, we use it as well for the sterilization of the phone. And we have also this system for shower recycling. It's a portable system again, and it allows to have showers installed in tent that can be used anywhere to recycle the water. So the capacity here is 100 liter of water can be recycled 100 times. The way it works for both is the treatment train is filters mainly and membrane, and we have sensors embedded in different parts of the treatment that allow the system to work also autonomously. The system has been used in Japan, mostly those systems for disaster management. So Japan, like the Caribbean, has many natural disaster. We have a lot of hurricanes, we have earthquake, and unfortunately it created those very strong damages on the municipalities and infrastructure. Unfortunately, last year we had a major earthquake in the north of Japan on January 1st. The north of Japan in a peninsula called Noto Peninsula. The population there is around 300,000 inhabitants, and more than one third have been majorly affected. So what we did is we helped the municipalities to in their evacuee center, and we deployed 100 wash box system for shower recycling and 200 wash for hand washing. We installed them in evacuee centers, we installed them in hospital to help the evacuees. Actually, we think the first need during disaster management for evacuees is mainly drinking water and food, but the second one is hygiene, both for health, but also for physical health, but also for mental health. It's very important. So we supplied our system everywhere, and we had mission at that time. We are a very small company, but we tried our best to support the measure put in place by the municipalities, the government, and the water utilities there. And we had the recognition by Japanese emperor and also the prime minister, the different prime minister that succeeded over the period, who mentioned our system as one of the innovation that Japan is able to create in such a disaster time. As we gain traction in Japan, now the country is considering integrating decentralization infrastructure as a way to rebuild the country in the part of the country that have been destroyed by earthquake. So the budget policy is called Honebuto policy, and the one for 2024 is now including the consideration of decentralized system for water infrastructure in Japan. Our system to support evacuees or relief measure during disaster time has been also used in Turkey. So in 2023, there was also a very important earthquake at the Turkey-Syrian border, and together with JICA, with the JICA relief team, we sent 10 box, so 10 system for shower recycling to support as well the population affected there. So that's yes, that's the end of the presentation, both for residential water and for portable water. Thank you very much for your attention, and we'll try our best with Nerissa and Krista to answer your question.
Well, thank you very much, Samir, for this very interesting development and the technology you have been introducing, which you've already started in Antigua. So I'll now invite anyone with questions or observations. So please proceed. I'm not seeing anyone in the chat saying anything. Let me check the chat room. Still quiet. Well, what I think, based on some of our own experiences and post-disaster events, as you mentioned, what you did in some prefectures in Japan, how easy is it to deploy the technology in some of the shelters?
So we are. It's interesting question because we are now working with ISO, with International Standard Organization, to relate this experience of in a technical report. So we were working with the expert committee to try to relate this experience. Actually, the system is very easy to install. It takes less than an hour to install the, or even 30 minutes in some cases. It's more about where it can be installed for the evacuees to use them. So as I said, for the disaster, for example, in Noto, it happened in January. It was the winter time, so we had to find preferably a space in the evacuee center when we can install the system, the water recycling system and the tents for organizing the whole logistic. You know, you have the evacuees who are queuing. It's better that they are use the shower inside rather than outside, not to have the heat shock, for example. And yeah, this is very easy to install, and we manage in those 77 evacuee center to install it very easily.
Okay, we have two questions in the chat. One is it possible to explain the treatment steps it uses? And the second question is, what are quality control measures to ensure that the water meets the local water quality standards?
Yes. I think I can use this slide. Yeah, can you see the slide?
Yes.
Yes. So I'll focus on the treatment train for gray water recycling. Again, we have the other module, which is for toilet, but the most advanced one is the gray water. So we start with a collecting tank. It's a buffer at the beginning of the process. Then we have uh, MBR system. So biological treatment with a membrane, a microfiltration membrane. Then we go to ozonation, a middle tank, and after that we have the reverse osmosis membrane that is used. And after the reverse osmosis membrane, we have activated carbon filters, and we sanitize with UVC and with chlorine. And this is how this is basically the treatment train. And at every step of the treatment, we have sensors, different kind of sensors. So this is where we have the proprietary technology. So I cannot disclose too much, but basically we have sensors measuring different parameters of the water quality. It can be the pH, it can be the conductivity, it can be as well. We try to monitor how the bacteria are working in the biological treatment as well. We measure the chlorine to make sure that the residual level is at meets the requirements with the Japanese drinking standard. And this is how we monitor both the performance of the system and the water quality. We also, of course, do sampling. So this is actually one of the biggest challenge that we have, is the logistic around water sampling. So for centralized system, the standard is very clear. You have those samplings in different end user where we collect the water, and this rolling system for sampling and monitoring. But for decentralized water system, we need to build that. That's part of the thing of being a startup. There's the question of regulation and what's the regulation for this kind of system. We need to build that with the authorities in the Caribbean region. But when we take samples, then we measure all the parameter against the Japanese drinking water standard. And so far, we have very good result on the compliance and conformity with those standards.
Just to add to what Samir was saying, just to ensure that the local authorities are comfortable with the drinking water standards as well as just the possible water standards. We work with the Department of Analytical Services, so that's a team in Antigua, the local team from the government that would check the samples and then monthly sent over to Japan as well for the additional parameter testing.
And I put on the screen also the different sampling that we did with some of the parameters. In the Japanese drinking standard, you have 51 parameters that were followed. You see the levels and the different parameters that we had on the different samplings. We had a moment with some over the threshold on chloric acid, but it was we changed we solved the issue by changing the chlorine supplier.
Right. Do you have any other questions? I'm not seeing any. I mean, areas where you said that you're completely off grid. How is that? Difficult is that with? Is it that in some of those areas there are not any connections to the utility, or
Yes. So
are there any challenges with people getting maybe total reliance on getting off the water utility system?
yeah. So we have different cases in Japan. I think so first of all, we take a very different approach than the conventional one. What we try to do is develop a system that can be manufactured like a home appliance, and we expect that if we are able to find the market and produce more than 100,000 of them or million of them, we will be able to reach a level of price which is affordable for everybody. So that's the approach. The idea is to try to save the cost related to infrastructure where the density of population is not that high. So in Japan, we have those cases where either it's very remote and the network might not be there, but most of the case, Japan has very developed infrastructure. So most of the case, the infrastructure is there. The question is more the future of this infrastructure. So in Ehime, for example, the population is less than a few hundred inhabitants. And in this case, the municipality do not have exactly the obligation to renew the system. So the maintenance and the renewal relies directly on the inhabitants, and the population is very old. Most of the people in the village where we installed our system are older than 70 years old, and they have to maintain themselves the system. So in those cases, this is where our system is very relevant, is to say, okay, we can install it directly in the homes, and the people will no longer need to renew the infrastructure. We can be completely off the grid. This is how we used it in Japan. Now we are exploring the other parts of the world, not only Caribbean, but in India, for example. And in India, a lot of part of the country has no infrastructure, or the infrastructure that is available is not working properly. So this is where we believe our system can be very helpful for the municipalities and government to provide water to everybody.
So yeah, you mentioned cost, and I guess that
Yes.
would be a very important factor in determining whether countries would, or it would become accessible to as many people who are in difficult conditions, or even for post-disaster events. What
Yes.
sort of cost that you are looking at?
Yes. So when we look at the system as a whole, we compare at the moment how much are the capex and opex to supply water and to manage wastewater for population, considering also the network, not only the treatment, right? And we try to look at the cost of cubic meter produced. So at the moment, we did different simulation in Japan. If we use our system in the depot, less dense area that we looked at, our cost is around $6 per cubic meter. But what we expect is if we have millions of units produced, the cost will be reduced drastically, and we can reach a level where we are under $2 per cubic meter using our system. So we have also a cost for, so we are also exploring the business model, right? So the question is, do we system to the end user? Do we do it with municipalities? Do we sell it to the housing development and they include it in the price of the house? We are exploring this in Antigua and Barbuda. And the cost at the moment is mostly a cost for prototyping, so it's not very relevant. But in the future, in few years from now, maybe 2, 3, 4 years, we expect to have something that is very affordable for middle income and low income in the Caribbean as well. And in the cost as well, so we do not believe that we should have a system produced in Japan. What we are looking for are partners in the region where we install our system. Because of course it will make much more sense in terms of sourcing, in terms of production, in terms of logistic. So it's not only finding the places where we install, it's also considering where can we create an ecosystem with manufacturing locally, assembling locally, installing locally, and how we can work to develop the capacity building. And that's something that we are willing to do with CAWASA, is to develop local capacity building for this specific decentralized system, where let's say the way to work is a bit different than on water utility usually.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands raised or any questions in the chat.
Hi, good day.
Oh, Timothy,
Yes,
of course, what we would do without you.
well, this is very, very interesting. This is Timothy Augustus here out of Trinidad and Tobago, professional operator. I like the system, and I think it will be very useful in disaster management in the Caribbean, as you know, our hurricane season. And of course, my question is about the pushback. Is there any sort of do you have to actually fight to get buy-in to the system? Because once people hear recycling and using back gray water and even black water, they tend to get very nervous in the Caribbean. So what's the feedback like?
I think for this question, the best person are Krista and Nerissa.
Yeah, I think yeah, I'll take that one. So I also did want to kind of go back a bit. but I'm just noting that down. In terms of like the off-grid aspect as well, our initial installation would have been back in July 2024 at our WOTA lab. And that house is not on APA water supply, it's just a cistern. And we haven't had to add any additional water from any water trucks or have any water coming in. So we've been able to recycle up to 95%, continuously. And we've seen a lot of progress with that. And we've also had prospective homeowners actually staying in the unit as well. And that kind of answers this question that was just raised. So having local persons coming and staying for a few days to a week with their families or just individually to test out the unit, to see, to experience like showering with the recycled water, as well as using it for cooking and like just hand washing in general. We've had really positive results. I know Samir would have posted it on the screen earlier, having like 100% of the persons who responded to the surveys saying that they really enjoyed using the water. They couldn't tell the difference, or that there was no odor or anything like that. And I think also in terms of the question that was raised, we've been trying to push our marketing more. So I think a big part of new technology, not just in the Caribbean, but in general, it's always about public awareness and education. And because it's a new concept here in the Caribbean, it's really useful for us to go on the media. So we've been having a lot of like media runs on the radio, via television. We've had public demonstrations at public beaches and at sporting complexes in Antigua for the past few years. And we also participate at annual local like environmental events as well, in partnership with the Department of Environment. And that's just to make sure that we have more persons aware of the technology that's being tested in Antigua, and it's improving the level of buy-in. So we've had a lot of private homeowners, persons who are prospectively like building, whether it's with housing developments, but also just privately building on their own, persons who are interested in purchasing the systems. And we've also seen that although new technology can be quite costly initially, we've also seen persons understanding the long-term benefits of having these systems installed, because it's going to reduce their water bills in the long run. It's going to reduce having to purchase more bottled water if the water quality from the utility company is not really good. And they're able to use it for different uses. So we already see that kind of interest coming out of Antigua, and I think it's the same thing that would happen in other countries. Persons would be aware of that. And then I'd also want to add that mentioning that the first unit that we had, the water system installed at, is off of the utilities water and only has a cistern, and it takes rainwater in. We are also saying that the systems are compatible if you want to have it utilizing a generator, or if you have solar panels on your homes. Samir would have mentioned that in Japan, it also works for those remote areas, and it's the same thing for the Caribbean. If there are homeowners that are interested in kind of more going off grid or being more sustainable, then the system works perfectly, because it can be retrofitted to existing houses and to the other technologies such as solar, but then it can also be added into the original design of a house when somebody's building.
Great. I like the flexibility of it. Thank you.
Yeah, we have a question. Thank you, my friend. We have another question in the chat. That does the off-grid system use wind system, or I guess they meant also renewable energy?
Yes, so you should be able to use, it's compatible with renewables.
Yes. Nerissa, maybe you want to develop about the energy consumption?
Yes. In terms of energy consumption, the unit uses roughly about 700 watts, which is less than the average microwave right now. So it's very energy efficient. So that's one of the things that the company markets as well. The fact that it's also energy efficient, and able to create this treated water to a standard that's drinkable. Something I wanted to add to what Krista Joy had mentioned earlier as well. One of the things that has also eased the public's concern is the fact that we do consistent sampling of water quality. And because we're testing it to Japanese drinking standards, which is quite detailed, that in itself has also reduced some of the concerns people initially had with the concept.
Just to add to what Narissa was saying, in terms of the electricity and power usage, we kind of estimate that homeowners would only see maybe like I'm talking in Eastern Caribbean dollars here though, only like a slight increase in their electricity bills to about 30 Eastern Caribbean dollars monthly if they had the systems installed.
Thank you.
Any other observations, questions? Feel free. All right, if there are not any others, I'd like to thank.
So, if I may,
Oh,
sorry.
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yes, yes. I have. I mean, we, as you know, we are starting this project in Antigua, but of course we are exploring other countries in the region. So we started to travel to Barbados, to Trinidad and Tobago, to St. Vincent and Grenadines, to St. Kitts and Nevis, to St. Lucia, trying to find if the system could be useful in those other countries. Our intention actually is to develop a kind of new standard system for small island nation, because we believe it addresses very well the different challenges. But we don't believe that we can do it alone. So we are looking for the right partners at every level, whether it is for very technical and operational and maintenance, or whether it is for manufacturing and logistic, or also the right partners, either housing developers, public housing developers, private ones, water utilities as well. And we really thank you for giving us this opportunity. I think we want to do more with CAWASA. So I would like to know in the audience if people from the different countries would believe it would be interesting, and to maybe to connect and to explore further possibility to try the system in other places.
Sounds like no one is listening.
Well, I'm
Okay,
here.
anyway.
Timothy.
I have just about 2 or 3 days a week water supply from the utility here, and I have to not use any pumps in order to let that water stretch for the rest of days. So something like this would really work nicely in Trinidad. So I think you could you can look at us, Trinidad and Tobago, as a viable.
Excellent.
Yeah, I definitely would be interested in such.
Thank you. We visited Trinidad and Tobago last year. We visited some installation for wastewater. It looked working very well, and we were not sure that Trinidad and Tobago had this kind of decentralization needs, but we would be glad to explore more with the help of CAWASA, and also with your help.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, well, I think generally, particularly with the post-disaster events, I see it as the sort of backup system that one can have in emergency cases. And as you indicated, the use really in areas where there are challenges. And I think a lot of the countries, as we look at becoming more climate resilience, that can be considered or explored as one of the systems to help with building resilience where we do have water scarcity issues. So it's all good for exploration and working with other partners. But as we are at CAWASA, what we do is to bring in, expose people to the new and emerging technologies and trying to find solutions for some of our water challenges. And as we try to attain SDG 6, and of course, we are approaching World Water Day, which is on March 22nd. So I'm sure there'll be a range of activities being held around the region. And we thank you for sharing your time
Thank you very much.
and the technology with us, as well as I just want to pull in two quick notices for our partners, the Caribbean Water and Wastewater Association, who will be hosting the Health and Safety Disaster Management Group will host a webinar on March 26th from 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. That's March 26th, CWW Health and Safety Disaster Management Group. And then there's the Operators Without Borders, our partners in hosting our webinars. They will be hosting an ICS Level 1 disaster response workshop on March 26th as well. And that is from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Incident command system to deal with disaster response. And that's on March 26th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. So if you have some time, please do log in. I think I will also send the links when I send out some of the other communication to you, or you can go directly to the CWWA website and to Operators Without Borders. So again, we'd like to thank you. I think someone had something in the chat just before we close. Okay, no, that wasn't a question. Thank you for joining us. And we want to thank you again, Samir, for being up at so early in the morning. It's now heading time for you to get to breakfast. And as we head out of our offices in this spot. So thank you for joining us and sharing your valuable information, and to your team in Antigua and all of our partners who have joined us this afternoon. I'd also like to remind all of you to start preparing for CAWASA's Water Operators Conference, June 25th to the 27th in the beautiful island of St. Vincent. And we will keep you posted with more information. Thank you very much. Have a good evening, everyone. Ignatius Ja from the Caribbean Water and Sewage Association, signing off. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye. Thank you.